Good afternoon, whoever is watching this. My name is Jarrett and we're here in beautiful Kamloops, and I've just been asked to share a little bit about my spiritual biography, perhaps my journey, my faith journey so far in my life up to this point. So one of the questions I was asked to consider responding to was, how has God been present for me in a difficult time in my life? And I would have to answer that is when my family became a blended family, and I married my wife Carrie. It wasn't the normal situation with husband, wife, 3 kids all in the house. Our kids, 2 of my children from a previous marriage lived elsewhere, and it was very difficult, but God was present, I would say, one, through my wife, who really helped glue our situation together into a way that made life still wonderful. And I really truly believe God provided Carrie, my wife, to be with me and our family in the new journey that I was placed on. And my church family as well were super supportive in loving my children, knowing the situation, and not judging. I really felt upheld by my church family. And that was a blessing directly from God, not feeling judgment and just pure love from them. So that was God being present. What has God been teaching me? Wow. Recently, I have been challenged hugely. It's very controversial, but it's in the news all the time. But as a white Caucasian male, I have a lot of privilege in my life. I've had multiple hours of discussion with my wife about this, who is learning a lot about this in university, reading on Facebook. Can't believe everything you read on Facebook, but doing a lot of reading on Facebook, discussion with colleagues at work. But I have felt God prodding me to understand how I live in a world where all humans are created equal, but I've been given an unequal upper hand in life. And it's taken a long while for me to realize that, and I'm still realizing it. It's quite the journey to realize how privileged I am as Caucasian, European male. And I'm just very thankful for this challenge, but at first, thinking about diversity in the workplace, I just really didn't get it, and I absolutely empathize with those who are still learning and going through this process of understanding. If you're like me at all, white Caucasian male, it takes a while to understand and come to grips with what we have been, or I have been given, we have been given in society, compared to so many others who just on the outside look different. And so God has been prodding me to be compassionate and understanding in situations that I know even 3 or 4 years ago I would have acted differently. So I'm thankful for that, but it's definitely been a challenge. Why do I come to church when so many have left, or as some say, in the post-Christian era? I really believe I come to church for a couple of reasons still. One, I can't lie, there's a habit, and it's a good habit in my mind. I wake up Sunday mornings, and that's just what I do. But I think that aspect of the habit to getting me to church on Sunday morning is just kind of the precursor to what I really enjoy about church when I am there. And that is the community afterwards during coffee hour, but most importantly, it's what I do learn during the service. There's always something I knew that I learned in a sermon or afterwards in the coffee hour, discussing with people who have perhaps been Christians for many years longer than I, and I love learning from them. And I also love being asked questions by people who are newer and are perhaps learning something that they heard in the sermon for the first time, and being reminded about I need to think of things in a simplistic fashion and be reminded of just the beauty and the joy of the simplicity of the Christian faith. And I love kind of being challenged on both ends and supporting new Christians, and myself learning from people who have lived many more years than I have so far. So I love that intellectual discussion, and I really enjoy that. I do have a favorite passage or two. So I think I'll start with one that for some reason I received it on a poster as a young teen, and it was up in my bedroom. And it's kind of cool. It's Matthew 7:13 from Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. And I can still vividly remember this poster hanging up in my room, and I'll read it. And there's many different translations, so this may not be the one you've heard, or maybe you've never heard this verse before in your life, but it goes like this. Enter through the narrow gate, because the gate is wide, and the way is spacious that leads to destruction, and there are many who enter through it. But the gate is narrow, and the way is difficult that leads to life, and there are few who find it. And there's another verse which helps me kind of reconcile that verse, and it's Philippians 1:6. Being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. And the reason why I like those two verses together is because I know I'm that person who has entered through a gate, and at times I've strayed to the broad, narrow path, and at times, the broad, destructive path in my life, and at times I've strayed in the good direction to the narrow path of life. And so I like to be reminded that there is those two paths, and that I'm human in Philippians 1:6, and confident that God, who did begin a good work in me, he's going to see it through the fulfilling power of Christ Jesus. And I know that at times I'm going to be bushwhacking between the broad path and the straight and narrow path, trying to find the straight and narrow, but I'm a human being, and God can use me to do his will, but it's not up to me. God will take care of everything in the end. He began a good work. He's using me, but it's not up to me. I just do my best, and I search for that narrow path, but I can't beat myself up continually if I don't find it, but I just need to absolutely try my best. So go through the narrow gate and go for the narrow path and do your best in life, and know that God is in control through the power of his Son, Jesus Christ. Thank you.